I guess we'll now take a look at this show coming up on Saturday night in Vancouver. Well, let's start with the women's War Games match. Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Naomi, Io Sky, and Bayley taking on Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton, and Candice LeRae. And typically, it's a WWE War Games match. That means every participant will have to bring a weapon into the ring with them until the match beyond. And then, how do you see this one shaking out, Way? And do you think that we are going to get kind of like Jade Cargill being sort of the backdrop here of any indication of like where that story is going? And certainly there's plenty of opportunities to have various matches coming out of this as well.
I don't think we'll get answers, or I don't even know if we'll get hints about like who truly attacked Jade Cargill here. I think you'll get maybe accusations like we saw tonight, but I think that's more of a long playing story that might reveal itself a little bit later. As far as like who I'm looking to, like, storylines, obviously, I think you have a lot of unsolved things between Bianca Belair and Bayley that will probably make for some interesting moments. Io and Bayley as well, I think, should make for some interesting moments. Rhea Ripley, I could imagine being the one to come in very last, along with Liv Morgan. That way, like, the key to this feud and this match in its entirety is really the heat generated by this Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, Dominic Mysterio storyline. Without that feud involved here, without Rhea Ripley involved here, I think this match is so much colder. So the fact that she's able to come in and be able to, basically center the entire War Games match around them is a huge thing for them. Otherwise, you have two heavies in Nia Jax and Rhea Ripley that I think should, make for some interesting double teaming if like they choose to have them work together. Is a cash in even a part of the discussion here, or should we not expect anything like that?
They can make up the rules as they go. They could tease that. I mean,
could it be a War Games for the World Championship? And how would that work if she decided to cash in here? They wouldn't do it. It would be too confusing.
I mean, the way to do it would have been like if Jax is like the one that is decimated at the end and has to, be the one that surrenders. I don't know. I think it would be a little hokey to get that spot in, but sometimes they lean towards that. I look at this lineup and it does feel as though like Candice LeRae is your designated person here to like. I could very well see both babyface sides winning these War Games matches.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Which is fine. Like, you want to come out of this with, I mean, you did have Bianca Belair pin Liv Morgan not all that long ago. You have the obvious match with like Rhea with Raquel and with Liv Morgan. Naomi and Bayley we could see in the tournament, and Io Sky is also like, Io Sky may be like the standout of this the whole 10 here in this match.
Will we get an Io trash can dive?
Possible, yes. I could see her and Tiffany Stratton doing wild dives, and the trash can dive is almost a staple now for Io Sky, so I could certainly see that one happening here. I'll lean towards the babyfaces winning this one. Let's go to Braun Breaker, Sheamus, and Ludwig Kaiser. I think this is going to be this could be a really great match. I think Braun Breaker is becoming one of my favorite people to watch on WWE at the moment. I don't see a title change here, but I could certainly see like Kaiser being the one to take the cover, and Sheamus is still in the mix here for an eventual singles match with Braun Breaker. But as long as this one lasts, it should be very strong. I think that they will have a really great match. Like, outside, I think the storyline involved in the War Games match is going to lean a lot of people to be hyper focused on that as like the big match of the show. But this could be your sleeper on the show in terms of like actual bell to bell.
It's really just a match put on here
to have a great match. Like, that's really what it's here
to be the banger, and like whether or not it'll be match of the night by the end, I think it's a bit tougher to go up against the War Games, but maybe just as a normal match type, this might stand a good chance of being better than Gunther versus Priest even. So
this one will be economical. This one's going to be like 11 minutes, and the men's War Games especially, like that one could go 45, 50 minutes.
I don't expect a title change either, but I'm curious to see how they will manage to propel Ludwig Kaiser in this, because I don't see him just like being discarded in the feud so that Sheamus can go out with Braun Breaker afterwards. If anything, Ludwig Kaiser is your youth, or at least the younger portion of this equation compared to Sheamus, and he's the guy that you need to invest more into develop. So if anything, I mean I could even see Sheamus taking the pinfall, because I see his quest for the IC title being a lot more long term. So in fact, especially if we're sticking with the Braun Breaker as a babyface, I could see Braun Breaker versus Kaiser actually being more of a feud coming out of this.
LA Knight and Shinsuke Nakamura. I don't dismiss a title change here. Like if you want to keep this going, that could be the way you go about things, but it just seems they are much less trigger happy to do a title change like so out of the blue here. I don't know how great this is going to be, quite honestly, on this show. Like this might just be kind of your TV match, which I mean, I think the bar is very low to have like a really well received match on a WWE pay-per-view. That I don't think this is going to be awful, but as I look at this, we'll see. I liked what I saw with Nakamura tonight, and maybe this is a bit of a re-engaging character for him, but I don't know how these two are necessarily going to mix if this one goes any length of time.
I think Nakamura should beat him in 5 minutes.
Well,
I think this should be a dominant win for Nakamura, the type of match that he didn't have tonight. And I think LA Knight's a more interesting character when he's chasing as the guy who's just holding the championship.
He shouldn't have done a 50-50 match. I see your point more towards the Andrade match, if that is what they were going to do here. Like not like win in 10 seconds, but to win very definitively in like under 5. That would be the most compelling ending to this and give something for Knight to chase and really put some heat on this Nakamura character.
Yeah, I mean, the story would still center around LA Knight, but I think it'd be a lot more compelling to see him challenge for the championship and try to get it back. I think it would be a lot more compelling to see, like, if he does start to have some insecurities about falling back down, to like his former life. Maybe he'll have to go back to TNA, like without the championship. Like,
imagine
I want to see that
being your storyline. You're so frightened about being sent back to TNA.
I mean, it kind of is. It's what Nakamura was alluding to, right?
Shinsuke starts calling him Eli.
That'd be great. Yeah, like I want to see an LA Knight actually be challenged, and I want to see him like climb out of like this sort of like this some like major obstacle, because as it stands, like I think this Nakamura repackaging has been too good to just throw away in one match. So we either get a non-finish, which is I think perfectly like it should be expected actually maybe in a situation like this, or I would execute and do the title change here for Nakamura.
I think you've sold me on that. Gunther against Damian Priest. I think that this should be the match that it's like it's Gunther coming in with this interesting story of trying to maximize this loss against Cody. And this should be his match where ultimately, like, it's a really competitive match that he wins and he ends his year, with his confidence restored.
Yeah, I agree. They've given Priest a lot in the lead up to this. Priest has stood tall over the past 2 interactions these two have had on television. So that kind of spells to me like this will likely be a Gunther win. And after especially losing to Cody, he needs another dominant performance. But I mean, I expect this one to go a good amount of time because they are very protective of Priest. And I think they want him coming out of this still looking good. Do you think that it'll be a cheating finish, or do you think it should be clean? What do you think?
I think they're going to make this like a clean finish where it's a real war, and I could see them, because they've been doing all of, like, Gunther has come out of the Cody loss, and what did he do? He lost and he shook hands with Cody. I could see him doing the exact same thing here with Damian Priest, where it's like he respects Damian Priest at the end of this. It kind of keeps Damian Priest as, a protected guy. But it's just they have. But by the end of this, they both respect one another, and that could be the end of this.
But Gunther still wouldn't be a babyface.
I think they're kind of like straddling this line with Gunther at this point, and I don't think it's done for no reason. But yeah, I don't see a cheating win to end this one.
They have presented Gunther as like, despite being a heel, he's a very noble heel. Who I mean, the ring is sacred, right? Whether or not you win or lose, you show respect. So yeah, sure.
And then the presumable main event, the men's War Games match with the bloodline of the Usos, Roman Reigns, Sami Zayn, and CM Punk against Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, and Bronson Reed. I think this one's going to go exceptionally long.
As it should.
Yeah, it should. It should. Like, this is going to take up a significant portion of the show. This should probably be the last hour of the show dedicated to this one. I cannot see the bloodline losing this one with who's involved here and the fact that I'm sorry, but playing the role of Candice LeRae is Tonga Loa here. That seems to be I'm sorry, that's kind of his role in this match. Yeah. And more importantly, it's, as you said, like maybe tipping your hand a little, but having this Punk Reigns Heyman story coming out of it with the favor owed. And I think everyone's watching this as well with like the idea of what Heyman is Heyman working with Solo Sikoa covertly is like all the different storyline twists that you're going to get in a bloodline program like this that the crowd is so into. Like they are as much into, I would say even more, the storyline twists and turns than they are the actual match itself. It's like, it's almost like for many, it's like the match is the means to the end of what is the twist in the story afterward.
Yeah, but this still like feels like a significant chapter of the bigger story, I mean, the heat for this one is going to be immense. Every single entry of certainly the baby faces, but I would say even people on the heel side of things is going to receive a massive ovation, but especially on the babyface side of things, because right now, I mean, I could see Jay starting the match. I could see Jimmy starting off the match, but then from that point on, Jay coming in will receive a big reaction. Sammy coming in will receive maybe one of the biggest reactions of all in Vancouver.
I think they start with Jay so they can do the entrance through the crowd and everything like that. That would make sense to start that. So you get the big entrance for Jay.
But then CM Punk comes in and then Roman Reigns comes in. Those are all going to be massive. But as far as who I'm paying attention to the most in this match, it to me, it's got to be Bronson Reed. Like he's the guy who is maybe like, other than CM Punk, but like somebody brand new to this storyline. He stands to maybe gain the most in terms of just like upping his own status on the card. We've seen already some tag teaming between him and Jacob Fatu as like the two powerhouses on the team. I look forward to that, seeing what those two can do together.
And doing probably a tsunami off the top.
Oh my God! Yeah. Well, is it an open top? Yeah, it is an open top.
Yeah, they don't do the roof.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
Do you expect Seth Rollins to get involved in this with Bronson?
Interesting. No, I don't. It just feels like it. I can't rule that out completely, but because that is the program that he still got afterwards. So you know what, maybe more yes than no.
You've dangled all of this. It is a way to have Seth Rollins somehow get involved, and there you have him in the ring with Punk, with Roman, or at least like they share some look, like they're all together, and that's been such a backdrop of this whole story that you could see, and it's an out for Bronson Reed as well, of somehow. But
and you're right that like even the Punk Rollins match hasn't they haven't done that yet, and that's still a match that they still have to do. So yeah, maybe you have the three-way stare down just to build.
We all hate each other.
Yeah. Any other major sort of storyline points that you're looking for to play itself out here?
I mean, I think personally, Bronson Reed is kind of a big figure here, but this is also like a big opportunity, I think, for Jacob Fatu to have a really great showing in this. Like, personally, I would love to see some pairings coming out. Like, could you imagine Sami Zayn and Jacob Fatu having something afterward, just even if it's a TV match? Tama Tonga, I think he kind of just gets bogged down because he's just become one of the background players. But this is a very good performer that has not had too many opportunities. Tonga Loa is there. Tonga Loa is fine. It's Tonga Loa. And the rest here, I just think so much. I do think this is going to be a really well crafted match where coming out of it, you're going to have all these different, whether it's pairings or just hopefully having like a direction of where things are going. Like I do feel there will be a lot of attention to detail in probably both War Games matches. But the major thing is Reigns and what becomes of him after this match. Like you figure he's probably not doing another match till February, which is the Rumble.
And what sort of friendly fire moments we'll have between the baby faces so that Roman versus any of the people, not just on the heel side but on the baby face side, is still a match that you can get to. Like we mentioned all the potential matches that he's already got, but if we're turning his own team on him, okay, like if there's any sort of friendly fire thing at all, you got Jay versus Roman, certainly CM Punk versus Roman, which is almost like a sure thing at this point. Sammy versus Roman as a rematch is something they can always go back to. So many different directions that they can come out of this match with.
Do we see Chelsea Green on this show in any form or fashion in Vancouver?
Maybe something in the crowd, something from her autograph signing.
She has done so much media for this show. She just seems like every day they've got her out doing something. We will see if they put her on the show. But I think this is like as much like this is a very storyline driven show, but it's there's a lot of intriguing things on the show.
I'm excited for it.
I think it's going to be, I think the key is that I think you're going to have an electric crowd. Like they've got like 16,000 or so in Vancouver for this show. And that's a big difference maker for many people of how things are received. And you've got these matches, the War Games concept that WWE has done a pretty good job of kind of, introducing these War Games matches, and nobody misses the Survivor Series format.
No, I mean, I think ultimately, what was the Survivor Series supposed to do? It's you're creating these teams so that you can build bigger stories and bigger matches coming out of those relationships, right? And War Game satisfies that in a much more visually appealing setting, So I love War Games, and I love the fact that it's a part of Survivor Series every year now.
So we will be live Saturday night, probably around 10 p.m. I could certainly see this going around 4 hours. It's a 6 Eastern start time, so do remember it is earlier. And then we will be live to run down the show.
If you like this video, consider joining our Patreon, the Post Wrestling Cafe. Multiple bonus podcasts every week, ad-free shows, and access to our full archive. Otherwise, a like and subscribe is much appreciated. Thank you for watching.